Travis with UTV Window Tint today. I got a 4-door CFMOTO U10. We are going to put 20% all the way around. We're going to show you how to tint this 4-door completely. We just released a 2-door video today, actually. So we're going to teach you how to tint these quarter windows, these roll-ups, these back quarters. Believe it or not, this quarter window and this quarter window are different on these. That is different compared to this Can-Am Defenders. So we'll teach you how to roll down do the roll down windows and everything. We'll teach you how to do the 4-piece back slider. Let's jump into our install.
Stop it.
All right, we're going to work on what's called the quarter window. So this is the yellow gasket tool you would get if you ordered the master kit from us. I'm showing you guys how tight this gasket is. It is pretty tight. Guys online will complain that this is pretty tight. They're not as loose and forgiving as the Can-Am, but the trade-off to that is these windows are easier than the Can-Am windows. So what I'm going to do is, this is my soapy water mix coming out of this. I'm going to take my gasket. You guys would take your spray bottle and just shoot a little bit of soapy water up behind that. It's okay that it runs down the door. It's just a mix between Dawn and Johnson & Johnson's. So there is a video on our YouTube channel talking about the soap mix. So if you guys have a question on how much soap you need to mix up, for these machines, I would mix a little on the heavier side, just due to the fact that these gaskets are so tight. So I got my piece here. This is the window. The liner side is facing towards me. So while I peel this, the sticky side is going to be exposed. But before I do that, I want to razor blade this whole window. I've got a brand new fresh razor blade. I want to just simply come in here. I'm going to use the razor blade behind that gasket, behind this gasket, and behind this rear gasket right here. So now that I got this all scraped out, I'm going to grab my clean glass towel. I'm going to mist on some soapy water. This tool would have came in your kit also if you ordered the kit from us. You're going to want to use this tool and squeegee off all the water. Pretend that this water is very contaminated. It could contain dust. It could contain anything that would make your job not perfect. So we want to squeegee that off twice after we razor bladed it twice. I'm getting that gasket tool behind, or I'm getting the squeegee behind the gasket to try to get the dirt out. So what we're going to want to do now is we're going to want to leave this window dry, because if we spray soapy water, it could hit the gasket, the trim, and put dirt into the film. So I've already wiped down all these windows. I've wiped down the frames before we started. But what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to peel our liner. We'll want to wet our film. Make sure our film's got a good coat of soapy water on it. Without touching too much of the adhesive, we want to land this on the glass. And we want to make sure that it doesn't touch anything else. That it's not touching the rubber. And we just want to use the backside of the film as our guide. And we're just going to put that film, land it tight on the glass. And once we got it tight on the glass, we're going to use our gasket tool just to open up the gasket, and we're going to slide our film back in. Right now we're all the way forward and all the way up on this, so we just got to adjust how we're sitting. You've got a little bit of finesse because of the soapy water in here, so I'm just going to open up this gasket again, and I'm going to slide this film over to close the gap. We're trying to just get the film to go a little bit behind the rear part of this gasket. Again, this is a little bit of a tighter window. With a little bit of patience, you can get this. The soapy water is going to help. So we're pretty good there. We're just going to come down a little bit. I'm using my thumb and I'm pushing the film the direction it wants to go. And then I'm using this gasket tool to open it. So now I'm going to check all my surrounds. I don't have any light gap. So I'm going to take my thumb, I'm going to press on the film, applying pressure in towards the glass. And that's going to make sure that the film doesn't shift as I try to squeegee this water out. So now I'm going to squeegee all the water out. And just like that, we have a tinted quarter window. You saw what could be called a struggle. It's just figuring out how to finesse the film in there. You want to make sure that you can extract all the water out behind these gaskets so you don't get bubbles. But that is how you do this quarter window. Next, we're going to move on to this rear quarter window. We'll show you how to do that. We're going to work on this quarter window. So what I want to do is I actually want to mist this window down. I want to wipe these edges, ensuring that the trim, the gaskets, everything around this window is clean. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our yellow gasket tool that you would have got had you bought the 3 tools on our website, and we're just gonna open this up, this gasket all the way around, and spray some soapy water behind it. That is gonna make our ease of application much better. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna grab a fresh blade, and we're gonna work behind this gasket, and we're just gonna razor blade the window all completely 100% off. And that's just to ensure that any debris is off the glass, any sand, dirt from using the machine, any factory glue or adhesive is off the glass. Otherwise, if that gets trapped between your film, you will see that in the final product. So now that this is wiped off, we're gonna take our glass towel, we're gonna mist some soapy water on here, take this supplied tool, if you bought the kit, and squeegee all of this down and off, wiping your blade each time, exposing clean glass, and wiping behind these gaskets because ultimately your film is going to go behind there. So now I have my film stuck to the glass, liner sides towards me. I'm going to take and I'm going to peel. I'm going to wet the film completely, not rinsing the glass area because the dirt can transfer from the glass into our film. So I'm going to carry this on the back of my hand. I'm going to set this in here. And just like that, I'm going to set that on there. And I want this to go behind this front gasket. So it's getting caught right here. I can see it's getting caught. So I'm going to use my gasket tool. I'm going to open this up. And I am going to just kind of see where the film is getting caught. And I'm just going to open up the gasket. Now this soapy water is going to allow me to shift the film around. So this is why it's important to have a good soapy water mix, depending on your temperature. It is very cold here in Wisconsin today. I think we had temperatures of 1 degree, but it's 55 in my shop. So you need a little less soapy water in these kind of temperatures and humidity just because of that fact. But now I got this pretty much where it wants to be. I'm going to run my yellow gasket tool behind here, and I'm going to spray this with some soapy water. Then I want to take my fingers, I want to push against the glass to kind of anchor it where it is. I want to make sure that there's no light gap. But we're just going to squeegee all of this out. And then from this point, we'll want to take a look at the outside of the machine and make sure we've extracted all of our water. But that's how you do an install. It is a little tight. You got to take your time, but it's very doable. Just squeeze out all that water. I like to check this right now, and then I'll check it back in about 30 minutes. All right, so we're gonna work on this roll-up window now. We're gonna show you how easy this is. We're gonna wanna turn the machine on accessory mode. We're gonna take our yellow gasket tool, and we're just gonna spray a little bit of soapy water down here. We're gonna open up this gasket at the bottom, spray a soapy little water here. Miss this section, we want to razor blade that. So I got my good razor blade. I'm just gonna razor blade all of this down. I'm gonna get behind this gasket. These gaskets on the side of these machine are very open, so they're very easy to get access to. So we're gonna razor blade all of this down. And we're gonna do that one more time. So I'm just listening for contaminant. If I don't hear any contaminant, I'm just going to simply move on to my next step. My next step is to roll down the top of the window. We're gonna go about that far, down a couple inches. I wanna spray it, and I wanna take a clean glass towel and I wanna wipe this top ridge. Once that top ridge is wiped, I wanna spray a little bit of soapy water on here. We're then going to razor blade this all down again. We're gonna do this 2 times. And then at this point, we're gonna get ready to do our squeegee. We're gonna place our film on the outside of the glass. That's gonna allow you to use the outside as a way to peel your film and carry it onto the inside of the machine. I do have the door propped open on this machine because it has a tendency to close. So I have the door propped open with a 5-gallon pail. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the tool that came a part of your 3-piece toolkit off our UTV window tint, and we're just gonna squeegee all of this down and making sure to get behind these gaskets and I'm wiping my blade each time it comes off the glass. So now that this is clean, I'm gonna go grab my piece of film. I'm gonna stick it to the outside of the glass. So I'm gonna use some soapy water to stick it to the outside of the glass. The liner side is gonna face towards us. So here we go. And I'm just going to take my tool, my pink card, and I'm gonna anchor this. So now it's set up in a way where the liner is outwards and it's going to expose the glue side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the liner down. I'm going to spray the glue side. I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way, halfway. I'm going to spray my window and I'm going to carry that in here. So we'll do that here in a second. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mist the top edge of this, and I just want to create a little tidal wave that's going to rinse all the dirt or potential dirt down to the bottom. I'm going to come around to the outside of the machine. I'm going to peel my liner about half of the way down. Again, only rinsing the film. I only want to wet the film. Then, without touching anything else, I want to grab this film. I want to carry it in to the machine. And then I want to land this on the glass and only touch the glass. So now I got this landed. Wiggle it in a spot. I'm going to create a little bit of a hump here. The film needs to shift a little bit forward. And there we go. Now I'm going to spread the film out. I kind of use my hand to slide the film where it wants to go, where it's happy. I want to kind of work out the big bubbles with my hand. And right there, I'm happy with my top edge. It's not over the top edge. And I'm happy with that. So now at this point, we're going to take our pink squeegee tool. We're going to squeegee out our top edge, making sure that the film doesn't shift. And I'm just going to work all the stuff out to the side. And once all the stuff's out to the side, we're just going to do another nice squeegee, a little bit harder pressure, and try to extract as much water as possible. All right, so that's that. We're going to go up with the window. And now that we're up with the window, we have this bottom part we have to deal with. So you're just going to lift this up. You're going to get it about this angle. You're going to use a little bit of water. This is going to create a wave to rinse down the dirt. Then you're going to pull the liner off. And it's coming off at like a 45-degree angle. You're going to throw that away. And on this particular case, it almost just lands right on the glass where it needs to go. This corner is giving me a little bit of grief. So I'm going to wet this film. And I just need to slip this corner. This film wants to go this way. It's probably a perfect example for you guys. This film wants to go this way. It dropped in. The film is perfect length. There's no light gap at the bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squeegee all of this down. Now that this is squeegeed all down, I got all my water where it needs to go. The film is happy. We're going to squeegee all of this down again. At this point, I want to wipe down the glass. I want to wipe down my door panel. And I want to check the outside for bubbles. And push out any bubbles that you see on the outside of the machine. And we'll move on to the back windows. All right, so we're working on this back window now. Again, we're just going to open up this gasket, spray a little soapy water down here, down the edges, and we're just going to mist this bottom quarter of the glass. We want to razor blade all of this. And I want to get behind this. The gasket on the side of this is pretty deep. So, I mean, it's fairly deep. We want to make sure we razor blade back there because you will be able to see that from the outside. So any little bit of dirt, debris, anything that's left back there can potentially end up in your film. So make sure that when you grab your razor blade, you're really getting back behind there and cleaning that area out. It's also a good habit to get a really nice job. At this point, you're going to want to take your blue card, or I'm sorry, your black card, spray soapy water back there, and then just squeegee this area out. That will help eliminate any dirt that's back there potentially. So now I'm going to roll down my window about that far. I'm going to spray my top edge, and I'm going to wipe. Again, this is ensuring that there's no dirt on the top crown of the window. And I'm going to spray soapy water down. And same thing, I'm going to razor blade, ensuring that I'm getting really far behind this, especially on these rear windows of these CFMOTOs. We want to make sure that we're cleaning back there. because it is exposed on this edge. So at this point, I'm razor blading the whole window. This is a machine with, I think it had 150 miles on it. So this is a very clean machine. If you guys are doing this in the future and you got 1,000, 1,500 miles, prep is everything. Make sure you're really cleaning these windows. You might want to wash the outside of your machine, wipe down these frames, kind of even give it a mini detail before you start to tint it. The less dirt in the area that you're working in, the better your job's going to turn out. So at this point now, we're going to mist this with the water, giving it a good tidal wave down. And we're going to take our black squeegee and squeegee all this out. I got very far behind again. This is how deep that is compared to the other side that's not that deep. So we're going to wipe each squeegee pass off. And again, this is creating a wave. So at this point, you can see the wave of dirt kind of pushing dirt down to the bottom. And then we just want to come back with our squeegee. And we want to make sure that the glass is as squeaky clean as possible. So now that I've got this all squeegeed, I'm going to use the outside of my film just like the front door. Outside of the machine is a fuel board just like my front door. So I'm going to wet my film. I'm going to place it on the outside of the glass, liner side towards me. I'm going to take my pink squeegee and I'm going to anchor this corner right here. And I'm going to anchor this corner. At this point, the glue has not been exposed, but it's anchored to the glass, liner side towards me. So at this point, I'm going to do my last rinse. So I'm rinsing any potential contaminants. I'm also applying soapy water for lubricant to allow the film to slip around once it's on the inside. I'm going to peel my liner back about halfway, and I'm going to do the same out here. I'm just going to wet the whole film area, the adhesive, and I'm going to carry it in. I'm just going to pinch this edge, and I'm going to carry it on the back of my hand inside the machine. So now at this point, I'm going to drop this edge towards the camera onto the glass. And now that I got this completely flat, you want this edge flat. It can slide behind that gasket that we were talking about. And then once it slides back there enough, this edge will drop in and then you can shift it back. So I went in this way, landed, and then went back this way. Now I got a crisp top edge. And we're going to just squeegee this top edge out, extracting some of that water. And I'm just going to push side to side. I'm going to go center outwards. And I'm going to push all that out. Now at this point, there's water behind here that you guys can't see, but you would be able to see it from the outside. We just want to make sure that we extract that. So I ran my squeegee there, run my squeegee up there, and then we're going to go up with the window. The machine timed out. Turn the ignition back on the machine. And then we're going to go up with the window. So now at this point, we're up all the way. We're going to rinse down here, creating a little tidal wave to rinse dirt down to the bottom. We're going to peel our liner off at like a 45-degree angle. That created a perfect wave for this film to want to drop in. I'm just going to spray my soapy water on that film. And this film wants to go right in this way. Perfect. We're going to take our yellow gasket tool and we're going to open up this gasket and we're going to just allow the film to come in. I'm using my fingertips to kind of manipulate the film to get it to where it wants to go. So now at this point, everything's happy. I can use my yellow gasket tool to kind of just make sure that the film is actually behind the gasket where it wants to be. So now the film is exactly where it wants to be. Spray a little bit of soapy water on the outside of the film. Take our UTV window tint squeegee all of this down and extracting all the water. You're going to want to do 2 passes on this to make sure you really... First pass, I like to do a little light pressure. Second pass, I really like to come back and apply a lot of pressure to extract the water. And this window is now tinted. We'll take our edge and we'll squeegee this out twice. At this point, we'll go to the outside of the machine, check our work over, touch up any water spots or bubbles that we see, and we'll move on to this window. All right, so we're gonna work on this window now. I got my soapy water mixed up a little bit heavier now to do this window. I'm gonna take and I'm gonna wipe all of this. I'm gonna grab my single edge razor blade. You can see how soapy my water is for this window. I'm gonna take my yellow gasket tool. I'm gonna shove behind here and I wanna spray what may look like an excessive amount of soapy water, but a decent amount of soapy water to the point where my yellow gasket tool kind of just easily stabs in here and can slide around. That's going to make this tremendously easier. Again, this is a little bit of mix of Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo and Dawn. We have a video on YouTube talking about what the proper mix needs to be to do this. So we're going to want to just razor blade all of this, make sure the glass is clean. And I'm getting behind these gaskets to ensure that this is clean back here. So I will say this is probably going to be the hardest window on this machine. So if you can get this window done, you can get every window on this machine done. I'm just soaping it up again. Again, a little bit of soapy water running down the door panel is not the end of the world. You can wipe it down with a vinyl dressing of sorts after. It's just Johnson & Johnson's. If it's safe to wash your baby's eyes, it's probably safe for the door panel of the vehicle. So I'm just kind of taking the back of this and opening that up, really prying that open. And I'm just going to squeegee this off one more time. So now what we're going to do is, now that we got this squeaky clean, it's been razor bladed, we work behind our gaskets, we want to dive this film in this way, get it to land and work back. The unfortunate part about this window is it's gasketed on all sides, but our most give is going to be that way. There's a lot of gasket back here. There's a lot of room. The gasket goes back about that far. So we want to go in here. It's going to be difficult. You'll have to have some patience. We're going to anchor the piece of film right here. I am on this window, because it is such a bear, I am going to spray soapy water right down the center, and that's going to give me more slip. Now I'm going to soak the piece of film after I pulled my liner off, and I'm going to carry this piece of film into my glass. I'm going to land this back edge on the glass. And now at this point, I want to keep the front edge away, but I want to start by trying to get this film to go up and behind here. So you'll need probably going to need your yellow gasket tool at this point to kind of help the film. You kind of have to see where the film's binding and help open the gasket where it's binding. So right now, in this particular instance, it's binding up here. So I'm going to just take my yellow gasket tool and I'm going to open up the gasket and allow that film to go behind there. And now that I've got that to go behind there, I'm going to pull that out. So now that it's out, I can go up and I can start to work this way. Now I'm binding right here. So I'm gonna take my yellow gasket tool, I'm gonna open this gasket up, and I'm going to allow this film in. So this is all in, and then we're gonna slide down to prevent our light gap. So I'm gonna open this. The bottom gasket seems to be the most forgiving out of all these gaskets on this window. So we're gonna open that up, get it so there's no light gaps all the way around. So now that we're in, that went pretty well, we're gonna squeegee all of the excess water out. So all this water can come out, and we don't want that to happen where it slides. So you want to extract all this water and give it a good pass. Because there's so much soapy water, the film wants to shift and slide. But at some point you want to take the back of your black card, and you might want to wait a half hour or so, take the back of this, shove it behind the gasket and work that out. You might even have to wait a day. I'm going to use a different tool that's a little bit thinner, and I'm just going to extract the water out of this. So you do want to extract the water out behind these gaskets because they can create bubbles. So that's that window. We'll move on to the back window now.